we know about cross, probably connected to the Romans. Cross indeed come from Persian culture. Persians found this great way of torture someone, publicly humiliate someone, proclaim someone as so cursed that he should not belong to heaven because the gods doesn't want him, and he should not belong to earth, the humans doesn't want him, not that he should not belong to the grave because the evil doesn't want him. He is so despised by people, or she is so despised people, neither heaven nor earth should not have him, but he should be suspended between heaven and earth as a sign of complete humiliation and denouncement, a despised, cursed person. That was the sentimentality behind cross, and the Persians had it. Even in the 6th BC, there was kingdoms and empires using it. And then even in the 4th BC, historians say Alexander the Great in Babylonia used it. And then in North African coast, the Carthaginians used it. And it is from there the Romans, when they were on a conquest, they brought from North Africa, from Carthaginians, this great display of shame and curse to the Roman Empire. Under the Roman Empire, people knew what cross meant. Ironically, when Jesus said to his disciples, "If you want to be my disciple, you have to carry my cross," it was a scandal to the disciples because they knew what he meant. Because day-to-day life, they saw people carrying, they call it patibulum, which is a horizontal beam on their shoulder, carrying through the streets, and people go about their daily life, saw this poor person carrying a patibulum, a horizontal beam, walking through the streets, accompanied by Roman soldiers. They knew this guy was caught, did something terrible, that he should be punished publicly, blame should be given to him, and he should be shamed publicly. And they knew when Jesus said, "If you want to be a disciple, you have to carry the cross," the undertone was quite confronting. That means we have to be publicly shamed. Is Christianity that bad? The disciples must have thought. And when Jesus was killed, I don't want to use the word died. Historically, if you look at it as a sympathizer, or a Gentile who doesn't know who is Jesus, a 33-year-old man in the prime of his youth, when he was so spirit-filled, a prophetic figure, preaching and going about people, the one way to silence him is to publicly kill him. Take him out, show everyone this guy was causing so much trouble, and guess what we did to him? We publicly shamed him. And if you match that with what happened last week in America, I think there is some sort of similarity. Publicly silence, shut him off. But to you and to me, cross is not a sign of torture. Cross is a sign of reconciliation. Cross is a sign of reconciliation. In our gospel we read, God who came down, the first movement. The God who came down. What was the second moment? Then he was lifted up. And what was the third movement? So that he can carry us. He came down, then the second movement, he was lifted up. But he was lifted up by the people accusing. But when he was lifted up, he was carrying those who believed in him. Now, if without the cross, there is no Christianity. Without the cross, there is no historicity to Christianity. It is the cross that makes Christianity extremely, very clearly, categorically historical. Because at a time, it was recorded, this Jew, young Jew, 33-year-old, son of Mary, got killed in front of everyone's eyes. But then the resurrection changed everything. For a believer, cross become power, because through cross, you and me was carried by God. And what did God carry on the cross? Curse. We have to clearly understand what curse means. The Hebrew word that used in the Bible to describe curse is arur. Arur means condemned, doomed, or placed under divine judgment. I don't know whether you have experienced sense of curse in your life, but I have. It was in my 3rd year of priesthood. I went home. When you go home, you lose all your niceties. You not become a priest. You become a dumb, stupid guy. It's almost like autopilot when you see your parents, when you see your siblings. You're like, okay, I'm back home. Oh, yes. And we having this argument with Dad. The argument was about my mom's carer, because we are trying our best to find the best carer for mother. And the carer comes and Dad doesn't like it, because it is a huge adjustment for my dad too. Because the mom's carer is in mom's room, in our living room, in our kitchen, and Dad is a very private guy. He doesn't want to wear a shirt. You know, some people are like that. He wants to do his own ways things, and he was getting cranky, and we are losing carers after carers, and it was very tensed. And one day the carer left, and I was really upset. And I just had a big argument with my dad, and I still remember where it happened. And Dad said something like, well, it's almost like you're all going for your mother. I might as well disappear. That's what he said, which has a tragic undertone when he said, I might as well disappear. That cut to my core. And you know what I said? That would be much easier for us then. In other words, I said, well, go and disappear. I knew I lost it. That moment I knew I lost it. And I could see Dad's eyes and his surprise, and coming from a priest. I went and apologized to him, and we hugged. But I couldn't get that off my chest. You know, coming from a cultural Indian context where in Indian culture, Mata, Pita, Guru, Devam, which means first your mother, second your father, third only God. And when I grew up in such a way, I thought I am cursed by my dad. I can never go back. That was the first experience of being cursed, which means the blessing has gone. I am alienated from God. There is a divine judgment looming over me because I was so disrespectful to my dad. I even meant to go and die so that me and my mom and my siblings can have a peaceful life. I couldn't get that off my chest. I went to confession. This beautiful marriage priest told me, Bonnie, go to the cross. Look at the cross. Stay there as long as you like. Because cross you would see someone who was completely, fully cursed for you and me so that he can lift us up. You know, one of the things, and I can speak to my crowd, my parishioners who are probably in wisdom years, when we come to a certain stage in life, we experience something called existential anxiety. What is existential anxiety means? Irreversibility. Can I reverse the things that I did I'm not proud of? Can I repair the things that I did that I'm not proud of? The fear of irreversibility, the fear of irreparability, it will eat us away. It will almost feel like I am alienated from myself. I don't feel proud of myself. I am alienated from others. What if they know what I did wrong when I was a young man and stupid? I am alienated from God now that I am coming to an age of death and thinking about my next stage in life. How do I reconcile the things that I have done in my life? I feel cursed. I feel alienated. And that's what Jesus says. No, I have you. I carry you. So for a Christian, when he look at the cross, it says, God came down to my curse. God came down to my sin, carried me, and he brought it up, and he asked me to look at it and says, I am forgiven. I am reconciled. I am accepted. God is part of my sin. God became my sin. God took the pain of sin. God took the curse of sin. God took the punishment of sin, the psychological pain of alienation of sin, and he put it in front of me and said, I am personifying all your fears. I am personifying all your guilt. I am personifying all your shame. Look at me hard and well and see you are still loved. You are still accepted. There is nothing wrong. And then the cross, the arms of the cross come around us. You are home. You are home. He came down. He lifted up. And he carried us with God. This is fundamentally important because of the fear of irreversibility, irreparability. For a Christian, that doesn't exist. In Christ, we are fully accepted, fully forgiven. If any of you are feeling a burden, I encourage you to approach the sacrament of confession. In confession, we encounter the embracing of God, who loves us as his children. Amen.